Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing committee of this international symposium to mark the 80th posthumous birthday celebration of my Oga, our daddy, granddad, and leader, Professor Enitan Abisogun Bababunmi. I welcome you to the event. And again, I'd like to apologize for the slight delay in the start of the program. The theme of this international symposium, as you will see on the screen, is Agenda for Assuring Quality of Training Scientists Post-COVID-19. If my Oga were alive, he would have settled for this theme. Because as the organizing committee agreed, Oga, as a great scientist, seeking ways of pulling down challenges facing humanity through science. And a major challenge facing us today is COVID-19. Oga will have been at the forefront of the solution-seeking efforts. Maybe Oga will have been part of the vaccine that will be produced for COVID-19. Oga was concerned about quality of training of scientists. Today we have quite a number of people who trained under him, and they will attest to the fact that he was a great teacher, a great scholar, and a great scientist. COVID-19 is here, and there is the challenge of it affecting the quality of training of scientists because it affects economy, and collaterally it will affect several other things, including training of higher education people, including scientists. So I've come today to reflect on how the training of scientists cannot be compromised, will not be compromised in spite of Mr. COVID-19. The sub-themes are already, you can already see on the screen, and without wasting much time, I will have the pleasure of asking the program, as you will see, will run from now till about 1 o'clock. I'm sure that before 1, the program should come to an end. By that program, I'm to give some welcome remarks, which I've just done. And without further wasting time, I'm going to invite my boss, who is the Vice Chancellor of Lagos State, Professor Olaniwaju Adigunfagbo. Professor Fagbo, everybody knows since last week, everybody has the information that is leading a university that's one of the best in the world, one of the best in Nigeria. I can see that our keynote address speaker, Professor Bill Peace, Vice Chancellor Usman Danfodio University, is green with envy, but envy no more, because you will still continue to, I'm sure, work hard to catch it up with LASU. But I tell you, LASU no go stop. LASU will keep bashing on, going forward under the leadership of Professor Olaniwaju Adigunfagbo. So it's now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our boss in Lagos State University, Professor Olaniwaju Adigunfagbo, who, like me, is like a son to our Professor Enitan Abisogun Bababunmi to give his remarks. Over to you, Vice Chancellor, sir.
Thank you very much, distinguished Prof. Let me start by acknowledging and recognizing warmly Grandma Josephine Abokuma Bababunmi, an inspiring and formidable woman
We are,
of
we are coming for you here. Mommy is actually
substance,
sitting. Mommy.
whose convener and moderator, distinguished OFR, he loves to humor me by saying I'm his boss. We know that way back several years ago, you are the boss of so many vice chancellors. And by recognize Professor Mrs. Okebukola, eminent, other distinguished and eminent participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this international symposium. Today's event, as we lawyers will say it, is res ipsa loquitur. That is, this event speaks for itself on the nature, character, and the life and times of the golden boy whose 88th birthday we are celebrating posthumously today. How time flies. Professor Enitan Bababunmi, who was once described as a rare breed African of exceptional intelligence, died on Monday, 29th May 2017. The personalities and the array of scholars present at this event is an eloquent testimony of the excellence that Grandpa encapsulated throughout his lifetime. I am more of a son and a prodigy to this genius and giant of science who made foundational contributions to formulations that will prevent muscle atrophy in AIDS and cancer patients. And pursuant to this, he was granted a patent in year 2002 by the United States government. Bababunmi was an embodiment of all that is good and decent. He was determined and very proud of his heritage as Omoiko. Bababunmi was a lover of humanity and lived for humanity. He was deeply concerned about governance failure and the fact that Nigeria remained constantly in the throes of governance crisis. Indeed, it was on account of his desire and drive that Africans must not suffer indignity in having access to much needed pharmaceuticals that he did not become a billionaire in monetary terms courtesy of his patent. Bababunmi is never short of scathing condemnation of unscrupulous politicians. He will say to me, Lanrus, our boys yìí ò gbádùn, wọ́n fẹ́ bàálù yìí, olè paraku ni wọ́n mẹ́n, àbó gbọ́. Meaning, Larry, these boys are terrible. They are poised to destroy this country. They are a bunch of thieves. I hope you are listening to me. When you do something that is thrilling to him, he will say with gusto, fantastic. These are phrases that will resonate with all those who are close to Professor Enitan Bababunmi. I am proud to note that the Lagos State University, which Bababunmi nurtured together with distinguished Professor Peter Kebukola between 1993 and 1996, 24 years ago, as Vice Chancellor and Deputy Vice Chancellor respectively, has become a globally recognized institution and one of Nigeria's World Bank-sponsored Africa Center of Excellence. It is indeed a most heartwarming development that through Professor Bababunmi, we will focus today on the theme, Agenda for Assuring Quality of Training of Scientists post-COVID-19. Efforts have been on to close the science leadership gap between developing and developed nations. With the further challenges that COVID-19 pandemic has thrown to the fore, there is no better time than now to advance an agenda in this regard. And who again can be a better recipient of this honor than Enitan Bababunmi? I am certain that the contributions of our eminent speakers and remarks of the colleagues of this great sage will be quite defining. Professor Enitan Bababunmi lived in consonance with his name, Enitan. which translates to person of story, a legend. We thank you for being an amazing husband to Grandma Mama Abokuma, a good father and mentor to many of us, and for living a life that allowed so many to discover their potentials through you. We heartily posthumously celebrate your worthy ideals today. Your legacies endure. Your memory lives on. As I'm reading this and talking about you, I have goosebumps over me. You are an amazing man. God bless you as you rest in the bosom of the Lord. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, my boss, Vice Chancellor. You can see Mommy here and everybody in this room. We are safe distanced. We are saluting you. We thank you for the erudition. We thank you for your moving words. And forever you are appreciated. Professor Olanrewaju Adigun Ifagbo. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite the Vice Chancellor, Usmanu Danfodio, University of Sokoto, to give a keynote address. In giving this keynote address, I wish to recall that some years back, we came here to this room with my colleagues from Lagos and Abeokuta to celebrate Professor Enitan Bababunmi's birthday. And I made a pledge to him. I said, Oga, by the time you are 80, we are not just going to sit around and enjoy ourselves here. We are going to organize an international symposium to mark your 80th birthday. And man proposes, God disposes. I was expecting that event will hold in the International Conference Center of the University of Ibadan. I made my contacts. And God decided to take Oga home because God loves him more. And COVID-19 struck and is now giving us a platform where we can all still meet and share the thoughts, as our Vice Chancellor said, on how the scientists from all over Africa can be trained in spite of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I have the pleasure again to invite Professor Lawal Suleiman Bilbis to give his keynote address. Over to you, sir. Do you want me? Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It is my pleasure to be with you today. When I was contacted to give a keynote address, I wondered whether I am the right person to do that. I met Oga first, Bababunmi, in the 80s when I was in Ibadan looking for admission for my MSc program. I have not seen him until 93 when we were doing consultation with Professor Akanji to reactivate the Nigerian Society of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. He was and is still Oga of my Ogas. So we are celebrating, some of us are celebrating grandfather, others father, other colleagues are mama, husband. So it is my pleasure today to be with you today to discuss a topic. As my Oga Kubekola said, if Oga is to be alive today, I'm sure he will not choose better topic for this symposium other than this one. COVID-19 was thrown to us at the tail end of 2019. We thought it was just, as the American president said, a Chinese virus. It will only be with us for maximum 4 weeks to the end of December, it will go, and life will continue as normal. Unfortunately, we are now in September. The virus is still around. Mobility restricted. this affecting the economy, not only third world like Nigeria, but the whole world economy. And anything that affects economy actually affects research, be it science research or social science research. Movement is restricted. Ability for scientists to reach their laboratories is greatly restricted. How long will the virus stay? Any lesson from the virus? How ready are we to fight the virus? What will be the next virus coming? It's just going to be like the Spanish flu. It will come, do havoc, go for some times, it will give us leverage. Or are we expecting a bioannual virus? We had so many viruses that didn't give pandemic, but only epidemic in certain areas. Because of this, we know we're going to have problems. How, what lessons are we learning now because the virus is still around? How will this affect how we do teaching, research, and community service in our universities in Africa and other universities across the globe? Are we prepared for post-COVID economy, for post-COVID research? Can I have my slide, please, Sir Peter? Ogasa, can I have my slide? Or do I need to share from here?
Yeah, you can share from there. You can share from there. That will be easier for you and for me.
So give me.
Because you can paste. You have the permission so to do now. We can see your slides. Maybe you want to go to slideshow.
Stay for some time. It will go. Depending on the way we address this, we can now ask the next question. What does the future hold for our children and the generations after us? How do we train the next generation of scientists? What will be the quality of the training? All these and many more questions are begging for answers post-COVID-19. The way we answer these questions will depend on how governments, societies, and scientific community respond to the post-COVID-19 and its economic chapter. Across the world, many universities impose gradual measures which will lead to near complete campus lockdowns. In Nigeria, the lockdown occasioned by pandemic made a perennial academic staff union strike, meaning that we have two pandemic in Nigeria's university system. We have the coronavirus and we have the ASU strike. Our hope and prayer, we should be able to settle the second kind of pandemic, that the ASU strike, before the end of the COVID-19 lockdown, so that as soon as movement is allowed, our universities will be opened and will continue to do what we know best, teaching, research, and community service. For the leaders among us in this forum, it's open us to see what we can do behind to broker a peace between the federal government. Whatever the case, I'm sure my Oga, the former ANC secretary, must and should start behind the scene consultations between the ASU leadership, the government, to see if we could be able to resolve this crisis before of the pandemic is eased out. So as soon as the government said movement is allowed, campuses should be opened, our students should be able to come back to the campuses, and we should be able to do what we know best. So I'm calling on the, my Oga and other Ogas in the forum to do something about this. Measures to institutionalize teleworking, digital learning, and online learning systems are handicapped by the pandemic itself. Our campuses are closed, our online resources are also locked up. This should not happen in this sanctuary. People should be able to work from their houses. Pandemic notwithstanding, strike notwithstanding. But this is not what we have in the Nigerian education system. We must do something about this before the next pandemic come or we'll be left behind. This invariably brought technical and research activities on our campuses to the late. So Nigerian scientists could not join their peers across the globe, mitigating the effect of this COVID-19. One is the weak of our infrastructure in our university system. Two, lack of research grants or funding agency. To date in Nigeria, TET Fund is the only meaningful funding agency for research in our Nigerian educational system. That should not be the case. That should be unacceptable. I'm sure Oga Peter can recall when he was at NUC, there was a plan to establish Nigerian Science Foundation or National Science Foundation that will give some research grants to Nigerian scientists. I can recall he introduced the first NUC Central Research Grant. Yeah. And I'm happy to say that I was among the first beneficiaries of that grant. That died down as soon as the ongoing pandemic, especially in Africa, and most especially in Nigeria. Inadequate access and availability of e-platforms, especially in rural part of Africa.
Vice Chancellor, you have 3 more minutes.
Yes. So lack of awareness of available digital and online medium is also still affecting the research and other community services by the Nigerian academics in the Nigerian economic system. African higher education and research sector is lagging across all indicators. Sub-Saharan African researchers account for about only 1% of the world researchers across all disciplines. Sub-Saharan African investment in R&D is 0.4% of their gross domestic expenditure compared to 1.7% across the globe. African universities struggle to achieve their core mandate, but only 6% of young people in South Africa enroll in the higher education institutions. These wide gaps in inaccessibility and of e-learning facilities further worsen the situations. Capacity to train PhD students in STEM in most African countries is extremely low. In Nigeria, only 43% of higher education faculty holds PhDs, 34% in Ghana, 8% in Ethiopia. In addition, student-staff ratio in sub-Saharan African universities is unacceptably higher compared to the global average. Ensuring quality of training of scientists post-COVID-19, we need to rethink how research are funded, prioritize our training needs, addressing infrastructure deficit, online resources, effective communication, and safety measure. COVID-19 induced mobility restrictions are revealing a potential black hole in the finances of the universities and active bodies carrying out research in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. My brother, the Vice Chancellor, through student service fees we charge. Students are no longer in campus. Money are not coming to the universities. University system is working. So I will leave this to you. So addressing the infrastructural deficit, it is no more news to stress the infrastructure deficit in our educational institutions, especially in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Moving forward post-COVID-19, there is supposed to be an increased funding from the government. The universities should also look for alternative source of funding.
Vice
We need to improvise.
You got to round up now.
Okay, shared facilities in the laboratories we also need to collaborate among ourselves to share facilities among ourselves and the e-library facilities. We need to employ electronics information systems to be able to share our research findings, collaborate among our colleagues across the Nigerian system in Africa and the whole world for us to be able to. And for effective communications, we also need to centralize our system. If I can recall, during August time at NUC, we have the central library that cater for all the Nigerian university system. This must be reactivated, and we should be able to leverage on that. Nigerian Research Network System, the NGRN, should also be brought back to normal activities. We should be able to share resources among ourselves, and we should be able to also establish zonal, well-equipped research laboratories. If we cannot have them in every universities, we should have them within our zones so that scientists can be able to use the higher impact equipment that are too expensive for a single university to buy. With this, we should be able to contribute our quota toward training of scientists post-COVID-19. Thank you, everyone, and may God be with us. It is my pleasure to be with you.
Vice Chancellor, for that excellent keynote address, and it has set the tone for our work today. And I would like to, let me stop sharing your screen. Yes. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have an array of scientists, of friends, and members of the Professor Enitan Bababunmi family here. As you can see, I'm sitting by Mama here. You can see Mama. She's appreciating you all. So let's have some discussants intervene at this stage. Charity want it to begin from home. We have brought an emeritus professor, one of the oldest professors in our firmament here, a great scientist, a great geologist. He's currently the president of the Nigerian Academy of Science. You know, when he finishes, we are going to go to the president of the Burundi Academy of Science. You know that this is an international symposium. And then we'll go to Ghana. Then we'll come back again to Nigeria. It's going to be a jolly time indeed in the next 1 hour that we'll have more or less for this program. So it's my pleasure to invite Emeritus Professor Mosto Onuoha, a globally renowned geologist or earth scientist and president, Nigerian Academy of Science, to please take the floor for 8 minutes. Over to you, sir, Professor Mosto Onuoha.
Yeah, thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I have to thank LASU, Vice Chancellor, and distinguished Professor Kebukola for all the strides. And LASU has just been phenomenal in what they're doing. And we don't want to talk about that. Let's just go on with our issue today. I'm also very pleased to be part of today's symposium in honor of late Professor Enitan Bababunmi, a former scientist himself, as he was. Now, as has been made very clear to everybody, the whole world has been adversely affected by COVID-19. The educational sector also, just as other sectors, were affected. The pandemic itself has had a very significant impact on learning, assessment, experiences of students. Yes, many were able to move online, some were unable, as our keynote speaker said, especially with respect to Nigeria. Countries have coped differently. I think location of university, demographics in the nation, and access to equipment and broadband, and government policies and internal problems, like also in the case of Nigeria, all these things have made countries respond in various ways. And there has been an extraordinary disruption, particularly in higher education, because some other people were able to move online, even in lower cadres of schools, those who could. And if you look at the speed with which some universities were able to move from face-to-face teaching to online teaching, you notice that in the advanced countries, some within days, some within a few weeks, and some, sadly, even up till now, cannot, many months after. So we have a crisis. How are we going to train people? How are we going to raise scientists? Now that it's clear to everybody that online learning, some kind of hybrid form or blended form of teaching, because the new norm post-COVID now is blended teaching. And how are we going to do that? How are we, when it comes to science education, how are we going to examine nurses, doctors in clinical performances and so on if we have to do that virtually? Because we really have to talk about virtual teaching now. We were doing this, but what is required now is completely different from the online external services most universities had. That was different. Almost every university in Nigeria had some kind of online thing for extramural activities and so on. But when it comes to what we have now post-COVID, the new norm requires a completely new ballgame. We have to really begin to emphasize online teaching and online learning. And there are advantages. There are very many advantages of online learning. For example, flexibility is a major advantage, both in respect to how and when people can study or attend classes. That's because you can actually vary that. It can also provide opportunities and access, just as the keynote speaker was saying. We saw it in Europe. People linked up. You get from another university what you don't have. I have been able, through Professor Peter Bukola's invitation, to take part in LASU programs, World Bank programs, sitting right here in my house under the lockdown. And universities have been able to share expertise, and so you can source either locally or even externally the resources that you need. Those are some of the advantages, making it possible for knowledge transfer to take place, and international partnerships, and even local partnerships, as the keynote speaker was saying. So, but you see, you can't face-to-face teaching, as we've all been doing over the years. There are many advantages still, especially the social presence that a teacher will give and so on, and all the multi-sensory experience that the student will get. So, but we have to have a blended form of learning now. We have to get ready for that. So for us, we have to move to digital, proper digital education here in Africa. And already there's a digital divide that we know about, and investment is required.
Academy of Science, 3 minutes more.
All right, investment is needed. The teachers and lecturers, they need to be trained. We need to be supported, and we have to move to virtual laboratories.
Yeah.
Now, in a conventional face-to-face laboratory, for example, the student interacts with nature in real time, while in a virtual laboratory, because we're talking about how we'll be teaching scientists. So he or she will be interacting with perhaps a mathematical model, which is trying to simulate the real world. So how well can the objectives of, for example, we as scientists, we're involved in data collection, we're involved in observation, we're involved in interpretation. How can we effectively do this in virtual laboratories? That's a question. So, but we have to, and that is a major challenge. It's already happening in many places. Virtual laboratories are already in existence. We have to play catch up again. Some form of it is coming under this lockdown. I know about universities in Morocco, Tunisia, and so on. Some of them were in partnership with France, those in Jordan, and in Spain. And actually, you can have virtual laboratories, but a lot of money is going to be required for that. And we're going to require national and international networking for that. And the funding attention will have to be paid to the skills of the staff, not just students, because this is not a matter of a student, I have a laptop, I can use my laptop. They will have to improve their digital skills beyond what is normally required in using the university e-libraries and that kind of thing.
You are rounding up now,
And then,
you are rounding up now.
yeah, I am really.
Okay.
I am really. So there are opportunities for us in this new system. I hope we'll embrace it and not wait again to play catch up. I think I can stop there for now.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
President, Nigeria Academy of Science. Now, fasten your seatbelts. We are moving now to Burundi. And the president of the Burundi Academy of Science is here. Professor Juma Shabani is someone that the whole world knows. Why? Because he was director of UNESCO in about almost 1 million countries, although we have 191 countries. Without wasting further time, let me invite Professor Juma Shabani from Burundi to take the floor for 8 minutes. After that, we go to Ghana. We go to Ghana where Professor Jofus Arama-Mensah will give us his perspectives. Over to you, Professor Shabani.
Thank you very much. May I share my PowerPoint?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, very clearly, sir.
Okay.
Very clearly.
Yeah, so I will just quickly try to address this issue of using the case of the Burundi Academy of Science and Technology. Maybe quickly what was happening before the COVID.
Oh, yes.
In the area of research. The research was not very developed. If you look at the issue of publications, low participation in networks, then criteria for advancement of staff very, very low if you compare to other higher education areas. So the capacity for research very limited. Now, when you take the area of training of scientists, first of all, most of the scientists are trained abroad until 2017, when the country launched a PhD and master program. Everything was done abroad. Now, the doctoral school of the University of Burundi came with a new model for training PhD students using ICT, e-learning, research networks. And I should like to take this opportunity to thank very much Professor Peter Okebukola, who made it possible for us to participate in the activities of the LASU, Lagos State University. Now, the Burundi Academy of Science was established in 2017 to promote capacity in science in general, research, STEM, so that we could also support sustainable development. But the results which were achieved so far were very limited because most of the activities are implemented by using face-to-face. So the scope was very limited. Now, let's look at threats and opportunities in relation to COVID-19. The first threat is that, as I said, most of the staff was coming from abroad, mainly Belgium, France, to come and teach in masters and in other areas. But now they are not coming since the countries are locked down there, except for the doctoral school where we use distance education. The other ones are not. They have really problems. Then the other issue is that there is no lockdown which was observed here in the country. Therefore, no specific strategy was developed to benefit from COVID-19 related opportunities. And this is again a threat. Now, some opportunities exist. The first one is that some people were locked abroad and they had to use Skype and Zoom to teach at the distance. So the authorities, starting from the universities, came to understand that there is need to accept that we need to adopt distance education learning as one of the teaching and delivery modes. The other one is, and this is very important for us, the Africa Center of Excellence for Innovative and Transformative STEM Education delivered a course in July, August on how to set up and manage e-learning platforms using Moodle to improve quality of higher education. So 15 PhD students and myself, we were trained and we completed successfully the course. And this really is now changing how we can benefit from the opportunities from COVID, because we have now established a Moodle platform for the Burundi Academy of Science and Technology. This is the link here. And this, of course, is providing a lot of advantages because the academy does not have to go through so many complex procedures, like you go through the Senate, through the ministry, through the cabinet meetings. Here it is very simple. You decide, let's deliver this kind of course, let's do ABCD, and just have quick meetings and you do it. So this is one advantage. The second one is the flexibility. We can just decide to, let's say, from next week, we'll do ABCD, and we do it. And also, we can quickly learn from lessons learned from other countries, lessons that we have learned from Nigeria, from the Center of Excellence, and so on. So we were able to...
2 minutes more, Professor Shabani, 2 minutes.
We were able to take advantage of all that, and also use the doctoral students who were trained to develop our own now Academy of Science, virtual learning environment. So these are some of the experts from that. We have now the platform. It works, and we are starting the first. We are now providing 3 courses from now to December: resource mobilization and proposal writing, science, technology, innovation policy, and so on. And we are starting next week. And so we have this one. For this one, for example, this will be the first time that all the courses, such kind of course on this team, is open to all the researchers in Burundi and even beyond, because we are people from DRC who have also registered for this course, which will start on Monday. We have another one, policy, science and technology policy, innovation policy development, which is also, we are making a contribution because currently there is no national science and technology policy. So the academy is now leading in that area. Of course, we are working closely with the National Commission for Science and Technology, which was supposed to do that, and the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. So we are working together. We will be using experience from other countries, case studies, and so on. And of course, mainstreaming gender issues is new here. So I think the academy is really benefiting from the capacity built through the Center of Excellence, and we are now doing very well to contribute to provide to taking advantage of COVID opportunities for the country. So thank you very much. This is a case study from Burundi.
Thank you so very much, Professor Juma Shabani. I'm particularly excited because I can see that you are bringing a lot of innovations, which came about as a result of this COVID-19 experience that you had in Europe, within Africa, and outside of it. Congratulations, Professor Shabani. We are very, very proud of what you are doing and your academy is doing in Burundi. I have here with me in Professor Bababunmi's residence. Of course, you can already see here on my left, our mama, she's enjoying this international symposium. Also, we have Professor Mrs. Akenova, Professor of Hematology. I have Mrs. Femi Olayebi, Mrs. Felicia Oderilon, Professor Mrs. I thought people were going to be clapping for us. Yeah, Professor Mrs. Okebukola and Professor Mrs. Soyowo. Yeah, so thank you very much. We're all here enjoying ourselves, And of course, we can see an array of stars in science, in university administration, friends and family of Professor Bababunmi. Professor Anthony Udoway, called me up yesterday from Cote d'Ivoire, and he said he just must be part of this event. Of course, we're going to listen to him the next phase of the work. I can see our daddy, Professor Boyega Banjo. This is just awesome, awesome. We will be hearing from a number of them shortly. We're leaving Burundi now, leaving Bujumbura Airport and moving to Accra. And from Accra, we go by road. To Cape Coast. There, Professor Jofus Adama Mensah, if you mention Jofus Adama Mensah in science or in science education or in education generically in Ghana, I mean, they will say, yes, that is number one man. So we're happy that he's able to join us. I'm particularly happy because, as I said, our daddy, Professor Bababunmi, has a leg, very heavy leg, in Cape Coast. So, Jofus, you have the floor for 8 minutes. Yeah, please unmute your microphone. Please unmute your microphone.
Yeah, thank you very much for making me part of this presentation. I bring greetings from Ghana to you all, and especially to Mama Bababunmi. Special greetings from Ghana to you all. I try to look at what I could say about this topic, but I chose to look at the threats and opportunities for research and training of scientists, and the outline is here. But celebrating the life and works of Professor Enitan Bababunmi, at a time the world is witnessing a strange and unprecedented disruption of the structural elements of societies, including the university systems in this pandemic era. I mean, it's something that I thought was well thought of. That we could not just miss it. We need to be part of this. Professor has exhibited great commitment and dedication to research in university leadership, in higher education teaching, and today we pay our greatest respect to him, our astute professor, for the legacy he has left with us, his colleagues, students, and mentees, and so on. Sorry. Yes. It's worth noting that, in the early part of this pandemic, April, for example, it's noted that about 1.6 billion students, constituting about 91% of the students in the world, were affected by, this pandemic. And even now, 70% continue to be impacted by this pandemic. To ensure that learning continued in the universities, in most of the world. We have a system where the universities overnight, as was made clear by the guest speaker, our main speaker, that the world turned around quickly. They pivoted themselves into, emergency remote virtual learning, and teaching. That was very rapid. But what about research? Research still lagged behind. People do not know how to handle the research in this pandemic. How do you handle the research? How do you handle on-site, laboratory work and field work and clinical studies and so on? So research has become another area that has been left. And then the statement by the U.S. Director of National Institute for Allergic and Infectious Diseases, Fauci, he said that this disruption is an unprecedented one, especially in the cancer, research community. So research, as a major pillar, that really binds the teaching and community service together. in academic system is so crucial, contributing to national, global. Also, in terms of basic research, 48 billion, of the 96 billion, that's about half, spent on basic research. What is Africa doing, in this area, again, the higher education system in the US also, employs, a major number of people, into the higher education, 560,000 people directly in research, excluding the 300,000, research trainees, that they have, so it looks like, whilst, people are spending so much on, on research, we were not doing that, we're not prepared for that. And now is the time for us to really prepare ourselves for this. On the continent of Africa, and then Professor Enitan was one of those who pushed research in STEM field in biochemistry and disease control. His research attempted to understand the molecular basis of human diseases, including cancer. It covered areas of mitochondrial biogenetics and so on, including looking at, the effect of issues relating to Nigerian patients and with cancer, and then skeletal muscular degeneration induced by, different kinds of diseases and malnutrition and so on. So we have a giant who was pursuing this, but in spite of all this, the disruptions, did not curtail research in some institutions. Some institutions continue to carry out the research, especially addressing issues of the pandemic. And this has pushed those institutions into the limelight, at Oxford University and so on. These efforts have included development of diagnostic testing, therapies, vaccines, involvement of experts in epidemiology and so on, infectious diseases, in designing, policies, to guide global and national decisions.
3 minutes more,
So,
John, for 3 minutes.
yes, okay. So we have this research thing going on, but I'm looking at the threats. There's reallocation of funding. The threats by COVID-19. The reallocation of funding. We are not shifting, our attention to safety, on campuses and to online learning. But what about research? Research is left behind. Universities will have to, have fewer, internal and external resources to perform their research. So upending the training of scientists, you will ramp down on research and training, of the next generation because of the economic downturn, then we are in big trouble. We will not be able to cope with what is happening. And then we have a practicality of research. Can you carry out research in on-site laboratories and so on? It's been mentioned earlier. Yes, can we do that? Research studies that are across multidisciplinary or cross-disciplinary also stand in danger. Traveling restrictions also affect them. And then cancellation of long-running experiments. You lose, the opportunity to collect data and so on. The lack of access to specialized equipment is also a major issue, which I believe needs to be looked at. Then, sorry. Sorry. My system this morning was giving me problems, so I was trying to see how I could. Yeah, so we've seen a practicality of and then we also have the issues. Sorry. Yes, so I also looked at the opportunities that are available. And one of the things I mentioned, sorry it's not appearing here, is the issue of capitalizing on remote learning tools. Now, how do you capitalize on it? Coursera indicated that, from mid-March to mid-May, there were about 85,000 million people, who were on Coursera programs, And this was
1 minute. Jofus, you are stopping.
1 minute. Okay. Well, okay. I'm just trying and do my conclusion. And saying that humanity, through collaborative science research, has in the past successfully, worked against and solved some of the, diseases caused by viruses of various kinds and bacteria, because of the strong foundation in research that they have. Professor Enitan Bababunmi laid a solid foundation that has enabled students, mentees, and college researchers to adapt to situations and to carry on his work on cancer patients and so on. He built resilience into that foundation. And this is why today, on the 80th birthday, our thoughts are on him, and rejoice that the torrent of COVID-19 foundation, the resilience he built into the foundation, is keeping research ongoing in the universities. His legacy will continue to live on. You will not wait for opportunities. He did not wait for opportunities to come, but he created it.
All right. I'm not sure we're able to hear. That's it. Congratulations, Professor Jofus Anama Mensah, for the exciting perspectives from Ghana that you shared with us. We're coming back to Nigeria, and we're coming back to someone who is noted in the Nigerian university system as the #1 man in accreditation. And that is Dr. Biodun Saliu. Dr. Biodun Saliu was in charge of accreditation. If you hear Saliu, if a VC hears Saliu is coming, they will all be shaking, because Saliu will decide whether the biochemistry program survives or is closed down. Saliu, Professor Biodun Saliu, is now the director of academic planning of the National Universities Commission. Professor Saliu, can you hear me?
It is an honor for me. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm trying to do my screen presentation.
No problem.
All right. Okay, let me just back up a bit. Let me appreciate the organizers for this symposium. I'll be talking briefly on assurance in biochemistry, and I bring you very warm greetings from the Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid. I will also want to say a very big well done to Professor Larry Fagbon, the Vice Chancellor, Lagos State University, for having this symposium organized, and to say a big well done to my mentor and my former Executive Secretary, Professor Peter Okebokola, for also being part of this great event. Providence brought me in contact with Professor Enitan Bababunmi sometime in during the STEBI project time, and even though I've heard about him several times from my teacher, Professor Bewaji, I had to introduce myself to him that I was his student, the student of his student. From there, we got in touch, and he maintained the contact all through. And so it's an honor for me to be a part of this event today. I'll be talking on quality assurance in biochemistry, and just a few snippets about quality assurance. It is a set of planned, it is defined as a set of planned and systematic activities implemented to maximize the probability that minimum standards of quality in education are being attained. And the purpose that of providing information to the public, giving credibility to awards, giving confidence to those who are students and even parents who send their students to schools, ensuring accountability in respect of investment of public funds. Apart from that, it also ensures that we are accountable even to our system on the various assignments we do in the system, and also provides clarity regarding programs and enhance quality and standards within the system. As my boss, Professor Kwebukola, always say, quality assurance is not only accreditation. There are different elements that constitute quality assurance, just a few of them listed on this slide. I just move ahead to use Professor Kwebukola's input process output model for the Nigerian university system to discuss the quality assurance in biochemistry. Quality assurance in biochemistry must look at it from the perspective of input, process, and output. That means we are interested in the quality of students, we're interested in the quality of staff, we're interested in their number, we're interested in their mix, we're interested in the non-teaching staff, we're interested even in the managers of the system and facilities for the system to run the laboratories as well as other instructional materials. Then when you come to the processing, we are talking about, the process rather, we are talking about teaching and learning. Teaching and learning must be seen to be taking place. If you have a very good input, then if you are able to put them together in the process domain, where facilities working together in a based system, that is a multi-research output model, or domain rather. If you have a good input, which is well processed, you will be guaranteed of the output. And when you are not even getting the kind of quality you should get or output you should get in the output domain, quality assurance can also make you look at what you are getting in the output domain and see how you can tweak the system again, bring them through the input and through the process to get a very good output at the end of the day. Now, talking about COVID-19, it has come to us, it came to us as a surprise in a way, but with the advent of COVID-19, quite a number of things have changed in the system. And I know quite a number of speakers spoke about some of the effects of COVID-19 on education. But I see a positive side to COVID-19 in the fact that at least we know the inadequacies we have in our various sectors with respect to this pandemic. And particularly in the education sector, we have seen the inadequacies in the system. Only very few institutions could go ahead with minimal teaching during this period. And so we know that the narrative must change as we move on with respect to quality assurance in biochemistry or in education generally in our system. The keynote speaker spoke about e-learning and blended learning and issues like that. This will be a new norm for us, even though they have been existing before now. We have not really taken them seriously. It has not penetrated the system the way it should penetrate the system. So we need to begin to focus on e-learning, blended learning, not just in the face-to-face mode, but the fact that e-learning will complement what we do in the face-to-face mode. And that is why many universities and institutions in the developed countries just seamlessly move to their e-learning because e-learning has been part and parcel of them all this while. So if it has been so with the Nigerian university system, it would have been difficult for us to also gravitate towards e-learning as a supplement to face-to-face learning because of COVID-19. So as a result of this, infrastructural upgrade must be put in place. I mean, we see a lot of webinars being interrupted because of poor infrastructure. So if you don't have good infrastructure in place, it becomes very difficult for us to even deploy e-learning or blended learning, as the case may be. And then capacity building must be given top priority with respect to, to our academic staff. This will enable them to be able to deliver effectively on blended learning and e-learning as the case may be. I will just be running down a few words in my concluding remarks. Life, like we see it, is like a relay in athletics. And it must be noted that our forefathers of chemistry, including Professor Enitan, Bababunmi, haven't laid the foundation and built this noble and life-impacting discipline the best way they could. They have handed the baton to us. So we must continue to build in such a way that we add value to what we have received, which we will also hand over to the next generation. That is why quality assurance will be given top priority as we carry on with this noble discipline, biochemistry. On this note, I want to say a very big happy birthday, 80th posthumous happy birthday to the one who has made us gather here today, Professor Enitan. Bababunmi, thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you. The whole of Ibadan is applauding you here, as well as the other presenters. On behalf of the Ibadan group, we would like to thank the keynote address speaker and the discussants for a job very well done. What did we hear? We heard that COVID-19 has exposed the rot in the health sector, in our case now, the education sector. And that showed us the areas in which we need to intervene. For training scientists, we need to mobilize more funds. That's what we heard. We need to use online delivery systems more efficiently. All our speakers said so. From the keynote address speaker to our speakers from Burundi, from Ghana, from Nigeria, and everywhere else. We heard that we should strengthen the capacities of our teachers, those who are training these scientists, strengthen their own capacities too. And we should have the infrastructural practicality of research and threats. This issue was came high relief from Ghana discussant. I said no more business as usual, e-learning to complement face-to-face. So Dr. Noah Biodesali talked about relay race, and that our daddy, Professor Bababunmi, has done his bit. He has trained many of us here. He has handed over the baton to us. So the next phase of our program will be to hear from his colleagues. I'm sorry to say that you have just 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, I may, interrupt your intervention. In 2 minutes, we want the colleagues that we have identified in the program to please share their thoughts with us on the theme and also on the person of Professor Enitan. I know you can do this in 20 hours, but unfortunately, you have just 2 minutes. I will start with Professor Anthony Udoway, who is in Côte d'Ivoire. As I said at the beginning, he called me up yesterday and said, you cannot run a program like this for President Obama and he will not be there. And so he's here. My pleasure to yield to you, sir. You have listened again, everybody, you have 2 minutes. Thank you. Professor Udoway, please unmute your microphone and take the floor. After that, we'll take Professor Olorun Shogo. And after Professor Olorun Shogo, we'll take Professor Bewaji and the rest that you have listed. Yes, take the floor, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
You can hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Excellent. Well, let me first of all thank you very much indeed for this very, very innovative thought organizing this symposium to honor the great Enitan Bababunmi, who has passed on to the greater beyond. This is a very, very thoughtful event, and I'm very pleased and highly honored to be part of it. Professor Bababunmi was a great scientist. Everybody knows that. But apart from that, let me emphasize the point that he was a dedicated person, very, very dedicated to his work, committed to developing solutions to human problems, and above all, he was a very fine human being, a faithful and devoted friend, very, very committed to all those whom he interacted with. Now, let me just make just a few comments about the subject of this symposium. I was very happy that a number of the presenters talked about communication. Now, one of the most important aspects of training of scientists is on how to communicate their research results, not only to their peers and to the scientific community, but also to policymakers in government and to the general public. It is generally said that scientific research is not completed until the results are published and utilized by the community. Researchers have to make themselves relevant to the community. And to do that, they must be able to communicate effectively what they are doing and how that impacts on the general public and on society. So these are the things I would like to say, and I would like to thank you very much again, Peter. I was very pleased to speak to you yesterday, and I'm very happy to be part of this event. God bless you all.
Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Anthony Udoway. Professor Clement Bewaji, you have the floor. After which, no, sorry, Professor Lonshogo, Fusho Lonshogo, one of the strong disciples of our daddy President of Bababunmi. You have the floor. Professor Lonshogo, are you there, sir? Okay, while it's getting set, we'll take on Professor Clement Bewaji. Professor Bewaji, you have the floor. 2 minutes, please. Let's follow the model of Professor Anthony Udoway. 2 minutes. Professor Bewaji. Okay, Professor Bewaji is trying to find his feet. We'll take on Professor Akonji. Any of you that is able to unmute your microphone and intervene, please take the floor. Professor Lonshogo, Professor Bewaji, Professor Akonji.
Yes, sir. Professor Akonji, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yes, thank you. Professor Bababunmi believed in all his work that life problems and their solutions rest on the integrity or lack of it of cell membranes. I was a student in the Department of Biochemistry, Ibadan, where he taught between 1972 and 1975. One thing I noticed when I got to the department was that in all University of Ibadan, himself and the then Dr. Anosiem were using cars that I've never seen before. Bababunmi was using a Citron. It would take like 5 minutes for the Citron to rise up to move. So during break, around 1 to 1:30, we always look at his car through the window, and we see him rising regularly before he drives off. And because Dr. Anosiem then, from chemistry department, also uses a Ford Mustang, we thought is that only university teachers can use exotic cars. So I made up my mind that I worked very hard to be able to use this type of car. One other thing I remember vividly about Professor Bababunmi, he taught us enzymology during 1973-74 session. The way he speaks, half of the class will not hear what he was saying. And it's so fast. And because enzymology is a physical science, we will not get anything. So it made us buy biochemistry by data on Otawe or so at 4 naira then, to be able to read and follow his subsequent lectures. Also, on personal note, I was at Ibadan in 1984 for a conference. I went to my department, I met him, I said, Professor, I want to work here. It was a Thursday. He interviewed me and he said I should come and start work on the following Monday, 5 days after, as an assigned lecturer because I had MSc. But because I couldn't tell him that I would not come because I was already a fairly big man where I was working. So coming as an assigned lecturer will reduce me in rank. I was at a research institute. So I said, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I did not come back. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to take part in this symposium.
Thank you so very much, Professor Musbawa Akanji. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Musbawa Akanji is the immediate past Vice Chancellor of Federal University of Technology, Mina. While he was Vice Chancellor, he did wonderful things. So we thank God for Professor Bababunmi for making Food Mina the great university that it is today through Professor Musbawa Akanji. Yeah, thank you. So, Professor Bewaji, Professor Lonshubu, Professor Nwankwo, and Professor Malomon, please take the floor as soon as you unmute your microphone.
Bewaji speaking. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear
you.
Yes, can you put on your video? Professor Clement Bewaji, can you put on your video, please?
No, the audio on one of my devices broke down, so I'm using another.
No problem. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
2 minutes.
So I want to thank Professor Okebukola for putting this together. It's been an excellent program that you have enjoyed today. I also want to greet our mama, Bokuma Bababunmi, on this solemn occasion. Now, one of the things that endeared me to Professor Bababunmi was that he took me through a very sound biochemical education. I would describe it as the best money can buy. But many people will not know that I became his postgraduate student by accident, what I would call a fortuitous accident. During the undergraduate days, the focus of the Department of Biochemistry was on nutritional biochemistry under the leadership of the head of the department then, Professor Olumbe Bashir. And notable among the research topics we were taught at that time was on hepatocarcinogens in Nigerian foodstuffs. And that was the period that the university was focusing on the study of aflatoxin. In March 1980, I came to the department to begin the process of applying to become an MSc student in the department. And as I was just entering the department, climbing the steps towards the head of the department's office, I saw Dr. Bababunmi. He had not become the professor at that time, and I told him my mission. And he asked me what area of biochemistry I wanted to study. And I told him that I wanted to study nutritional biochemistry because that was all we knew at that time as undergraduate students.
Professor Bewaji, you have 1 more minute.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I will describe the period I spent in his laboratory as the golden year or the golden period of biochemistry because he had virtually all equipment that we needed. He was also always traveling out of the country. And the good thing about that is that anytime he traveled, he would bring back for us reagents that we needed for our research. I still consider myself as a student, even up to today. Even though he has left us, he has impacted on my life, which I've also transferred to my own students. And that is something I will never forget. And we thank you for bringing this together. And we hope that it's going to be an annual event to remember our great mentor, Professor Bababunmi. Thank you all.
Thank you so very much, Professor Clement Bewaji. Professor Funsho Lonshubu, Professor
Malomon here, sir.
Yes, Professor Silva Malomon, you have the floor. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me join others to thank Professor Okebukola and others for this program. I also thank the keynote speakers and all others who have contributed and challenged us and opened our eyes to areas that we need to focus on to ensure quality in our educational system in this COVID-19 era. I want to start my recollections on my journey with Professor Bababunmi as a young undergraduate student. He was the supervisor of Professor Olunshogo, who was also now my own supervisor. As a young student, I used to look at him as a very big person up there. You know, he's very huge, and he had a baritone voice that, you see, when he's talking, you are bound to listen. On one occasion, especially when I came back from my master's program, we were in the biomembranes research unit, which he headed then, with Professor Bawaji, Professor Lowo Kere, Professor Olunshogo was there as my supervisor, and we were in a seminar. I know with trepidation I was presenting. And Professor Bababunmi challenged me and said, Monsieur, are you sure this your girl can continue in this research laboratory? And that was a challenge to me. And I can tell you from that challenge that Professor Bababunmi threw at me that day, I worked hard. In fact, I continuously remember the challenge he threw at me. And that was what made me to be able to succeed at that program and even to continue in my career up to today. I really enjoyed working in the biomembranes research laboratory.
Thank you very much.
Professor Bababunmi always harped on quality. Yes, on quality, and challenges you and also encourages you. And with this, I also want to say that we should also be thinking of our students, how we can bring them in to contribute on how the challenges affect them and what we will do to put them on board in all these areas that we are considering.
Thank you,
May I also
Malamo,
congratulate Professor Bababunmi on this 80th birthday, and Mama Bababunmi, it's nice to see you. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. You know, when I asked Professor Silva Malomo, I think a couple of days ago, to speak as a colleague, she said, no, she's not a colleague of Professor Bababunmi. That colleague says far. I said, no, colleague gets two categories now. Senior colleague or junior colleague. You are colleague, madam. She was Dean of Science of University of Ilorin. You know, Bababunmi has produced
Thank you, sir.
Very many people. So, Professor Nwankwo, Joe Nwankwo, are you there, sir? Professor Joe Nwankwo and Professor Fushola Olunshogo. Right. If we are not able to get them, I'm going to take a sprinkle of others. And I'm going to ask the Holy Spirit to move me now to take who I want to pick among those that are here. And please listen, you have just 2 minutes to intervene. Our daddy, Professor Dr. Gwega Banjo, has been here, was one of the early to arrive, one of the early arrivals. If you may wish to unmute your microphone, sir. Then Professor Kola Wale Rahim from Winneba, you also unmute your microphone, and the two of them will intervene, and I will take 2 ladies thereafter. Over to you, sir. Daddy, Dr. Gwega.
Thank you very much, Professor Okebukola.
Pleasure, sir.
I'd like, first of all, to salute Abox and to thank her for letting me know of this ceremony. Secondly, I'd like to thank Professor Okebukola, who has been a very dependable ally of Abisogun from their days at the University, Lagos State University. Just a couple of things that I want to contribute. Many may not know the foundation for Enitan's achievements later in life. Enitan and I shared the same dormitory at Igbobi College 65 years ago. In fact, our beds were next to each other. And I know that his father left him absolutely no choice. He used to send to him science kits in chemistry and physics, which he was using to perform simple experiments. But that, I think, left him no choice but to be a scientist when he grew up. Secondly, in recent days, I've been wondering how Enitan would have taken this lockdown. It's like trying to lock down a volcano which is active, because it was always bustling with energy, always traveling in and out, and I just don't know how he would have taken it. The other thing is that I would have enjoyed plenty of stories of all sorts of things that have been happening. This was what used to keep us awake at night at Ibobi College. So thank you very much. I didn't expect I'll be able to speak, but I wish him many happy returns. Well, I don't suppose that's appropriate, but I pray that he continues to rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Ben, thank you so very much, sir. I like that expression that Professor Bababunmi in the lockdown period will have been locking down an active volcano. That would have been really tough, sir. Wonderful. Right. So, Professor Kolawole Rahim, you have the floor. Please unmute your microphone very quickly. And
yes. Thank you so much, Professor Okebukola.
2 minutes, Max.
Yes, I'm very happy that I am part of this today. I just want to remember two things about Professor Bababunmi. The first one is he's coming to Finland, and we had a very good time academically and socially in Finland. He made LASU to be known to my university in Finland, that's University of Jyväskylä, Finland. And another thing is that Professor Bababunmi was very interested in environmental issues. Actually, he made me to be an environmentalist. Then we organized a big conference with the University of Cape Coast in 1997. I'm sure Professor Okebukola, you remember very well. One thing which I think we should copy from him is that he was somebody who wanted everybody to live a good life, academically, socially. He was the one who brought so many lecturers from Lagos State University to Ghana that time. And actually, he was surprised that for the first time, some of our lecturers, they were traveling outside Nigeria. So I think this is something which we should emulate and continue to do as, we, the junior brothers to him. And I want again to congratulate Mama. I'm sure you wouldn't so much recognize my face now because it has been long, about 27 years ago, when I met you, when Professor Bababunmi brought me to his house. I thank you, and I wish him very good rest in the bosom of the Lord. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Professor Kolawole Rahim. He was in Finland for almost 200 years, sorry, about 20 years. And then he moved to Ghana, Winneba, where he is the moment. I said I will have two of our mothers, speak. One of them is Professor Bisi Showumi. And the last of those that I'm going to invite to speak is Mommy, Mrs. Molara Bababunmi. So if Professor Bisi Showumi can please take the floor by muting a microphone, I'll be glad. I'll speak for about 2 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, man. Although we can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yes, you can't see me. Okay, let me see. Yeah, that came as a shock to me, but
that's what I
anyway,
yes, ma'am. But you can't be shocked. The presence of Mama here and the Baba You can see, look, all of you, you can see Professor Bababunmi's picture there, and then you can see Mama here. So I'm well positioned. Back to you, my friend.
Well, I knew
2 minutes.
Enitan. I knew Enitan as far back as 1957 when he came to Ibadan Grammar School to do a special year in science. And he was very, very outstanding, very elegant, very fashionable, even at that time. And so he had special science training in Ibadan Grammar School when I was in my higher school. One thing that struck me about Enitan is his absolute commitment to his research work. And I'm sure some of us know what he's gone through to get his patent through. He's invested so much money. He's somebody for whom excellence and contribution to knowledge both matter more than money. And I'm very happy and thank Peter for organizing this and for all those who have contributed. These days when standards have not only fallen but gone underground, really, really very, very bad. We still have to exhume them and bring them to the surface before we can raise standards. Enitan stands out as somebody who really counted quality and excellence above every other thing. And I know how much he did to bring LASU up to standards. I mean, before he was there, you know what. And one thing again is his courage. You remember what he did that time when there was some protest and he went in front of the crowd there. He was so brave, you know, whatever he believed in, he would do it very hardly. On a more personal note, I hope I won't embarrass a box. When they both came back to Nigeria, he brought a box to greet me and my husband because our family, Shumi family, we are very, very close. And he brought this box to introduce to us. And she was so quiet and hardly spoke, not knowing that she is another active volcano.
Thank you very much, man. Your time is up. Show me your time is up, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, it's a pleasure entirely ours. So we're going to have the anchor leg of the interventions with Mommy Molara Bababunmi. You have the floor, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Professor Kebukola. Auntie Box, lovely to see you. I am so pleased to be on this. I want to thank God for, what has happened today. I wish my brother were here, but all glory to God. Now, Professor Kebukola, I'm Miss Bababunmi Molara. I'm big brother, that's what we call professor. He is the first of the Bababunmi family and I am the last. And he would always tell me, Iwo umo dada. That means you don't know dada. That means you don't know our father. You know, because I was, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear, man.
I was 3 years old. Yes, I was 3 years old when our father passed away. So, I thank God for this, and I want to thank especially Professor Kebukola.
Yes,
I met him, I met his family, and Pastor Larry Fagbo, I met him also. And I want to say to everybody who is listening that somebody mentioned that Professor Bababunmi, please, if I say big brother, that is what I call him. He's my father and my brother at the same time. He mentioned a lot of your names. In every conversation, I was fortunate to spend some time with him, a long time with him in the last few years. And he mentioned all these things passionately because he was working on the patent and, all that. So I want to say a big thank you. Now, my siblings have asked me, my brother, Colonel Bababunmi, my sisters, Mrs. Shokefun, Mrs. Vanderpoy. Unfortunately, we lost one of our sisters in February, Mrs. Yarosen. But yes, so everyone, Toke Bankole, they've asked me to say a big thank you to all the speakers, the participants, and especially also the keynote speaker, Professor Bilbis. He's mentioned so many names. He was passionate about what he was doing. And today, as we remember him, we would have been celebrating his 80th. Yes, COVID, but you know, I celebrated 60, and so he's that 20 years, just last month actually. And so he's, you know, that 20 years older than me, a father to me. Auntie Abok, love you so much. So on behalf of Auntie Abok, my brother, not professor, the Colonel Bababunmi, my sisters, and myself, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody for taking your time out to sit, to talk about him passionately as well, because you're talking about him as the one he has achieved, and we give God the glory about his achievement. I'm always very proud of him everywhere. Thank you, sir. God bless. Bye.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move to an important item on our program for today. You know, I showed you that by 1 o'clock we'll be rounding up, and it's 8 minutes to 1. What we want to do now is cut a cake, 80th posthumous birthday cake, in honor of Daddy Professor Enitan Abisogun Bababunmi. I'm going to invite Dr. Joyce Banigo to lead us in the cutting of the cake. And I'm going to ask all our mummies around here, please maintain safe distance, about 200 meters apart. And please come around here. I'm going to show you what is going to happen as we cut the birthday cake. So please come quickly. We don't have that time now. Please come. All of you come around. And Just B will guide the cutting of the cake. Quickly, man. So who is talking? Send the phone in microphone. Yeah. Let's be quick.
As we say, Jesus, I've been mentioning
the volume of this thing. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, leave it, Femi, leave it. We can talk. Put it up. Okay. Round of applause for us here. Please give us a round of applause everywhere you are. So we have had the cutting of the cake, 80th posthumous birthday cake. We will now move on to have the response or some remarks from Mommy, Mrs. Babu. Mommy, you have to make some remarks. Yes.
good faith, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And they
Okay.
shall rest First of all, I thank God for today. Today has come. And I thank Him.
Oh no.
And I also thank Professor Okebukola for today. He has been very persistent on having this posthumous birthday. I blackmailed him. I persistently told him that, Peter, this is not possible. We have COVID. It's going to be too expensive, too intricate. And he said, no, Mommy, we must do it. A promise is a promise. Then I said, it's going to be too expensive. He said, no, what is expense? I promised Daddy 10 years ago And actually, I did remember, but I thought I could squeeze him to drop his promise. Peter, thank you very much. You are loyal. You are a loyal friend. You are a true son, and I thank you. I thank you very much. God bless you. I also thank all the lecturers, the technicians who have worked laboriously to have this day together. I thank my friends, my daughter, Mrs. Okebokola, my son, Professor Lange Pando, and I must not forget him, he was not here, Dr. Fusho, Dr. Fusho, Okolui. They have been important to me. I also thank my friends who are here, my friends, my relations, my in-laws. God bless you all. And safe journey back. And keep safe. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Uh, as we close, I would like to invite Vice Chancellor, who is our special guest of honor, to, you know, our VC is used to 1 minute, please. There's one Evelyn Uber. There's someone. Please, can you please stop sharing your screen? That's the person that's holding us down now. Okay, but we're above that. Vice Chancellor, sir, I saw that you came in again. Are you there, sir? Vice Chancellor, Lagos State University.
Yes, I'm very much here.
Yes, very well.
I'm
Vice
very
Chancellor,
much here.
we said we'll close this event at 1. It's 2 minutes to 1. You are used to closing Senate and say you declare Senate closed. So I'm going to invite you, sir, to declare this event, the 80th posthumous birthday celebration of Professor Enitan Bababunmi closed. Before our VC makes the announcement, declares the event closed, I have some announcement. Who is there? Please stop sharing. Somebody is always. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please sharing the screen. Don't touch anything down. Please don't touch anything. We have lunch for you all in Ghana, in Burundi. You can see Professor Ali is laughing because he actually accredited this lunch from Nigeria, from South Africa, from everywhere. What we want you to do is that at the 3 minutes after the close of this event by the Vice Chancellor, we want you to check your inbox. Some snacks are being, we have snacks here, but there's very heavy lunch. It's 6-course lunch. Check your inbox. Just check your inbox, and you're going to find the lunch sent as email attachment. Sent as email attachment to your email boxes. Vice Chancellor, you have the floor to declare this event closed. By the way, you'll be getting the communique, which are going to send to all African governments. Professor Bewaji is crafting the communique for us. You are going to get copies, and we have made notes of your attendance. There's something that you may not know, which is that all of us that attended Oga's 80th birthday celebration, posthumous birthday celebration, if you are under 80, you will live to be 80. You will live to be, that's the under 80 people. So those that are over 80, because we under 80 will have caught up with them, we all will live to be 120. You didn't talk? You didn't? We all live to 120. My Vice Chancellor, you relax. me and you, we're under 80. So by attending this event, our blessings of God will flow down on us. Vice Chancellor, take the floor to close.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, Grandma Bababunmi, Distinguished Professor Peter Okebukola, all other protocols duly observed. We give glory to Almighty God, and we thank you all for attending. And pursuant to what we have all done richly today, this event is hereby declared closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you all. And bye-bye from us in Ibadan, in Professor Enitan. Bababunmi's wonderful residence. You know, God likes enjoyment, lifestyle. So we are enjoying in this place now. Bye-bye now, and take care.